Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the Move podcast, brought to you each and every day this summer by Ketone IQ. Of course, made by HVMN. We'll get into that a little bit later. We're talking about Stage 8. Alain, what's up?
Stage 8, Libourne to Limoges. Libourne to Limoges.
I just love it. I mean, I know it's so stupid that I say it every time.
It kind of cracks me up that you get such a kick out of it. Is Alain going to come by for the live read?
I don't know. He's,
Sure.
but I think he's over the, I've probably done it for 7 years. It feels like he's getting more and more into it. You hear that way?
Mm-hmm.
He kind of leans into being a frog,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Look, what a day. Not the day any of us expected, and certainly not the day that any of us wanted, with Mark Cavendish crashing hard. Apparently, at least looked like he broke a collarbone and is out of the race. So this chase for Eddie Merckx's record for stage wins is over. And this is all, again, we'll get into a lot of this. It leaves a lot of questions, at least for me. So, but before we get into all the action, today's show brought to you by Element. Folks, we talk about it all the time. This is our go-to hydration source. As they say, stay salty or salty AF. What does the AF mean?
Are you serious?
No, I'm not serious. But it's that time of year. It's time to sweat, time to be outside, and it's also time to replace 1,000 milligrams of sodium, 200 milligrams of potassium, 60 milligrams of magnesium, no sugar, no gluten, no artificial ingredients. It is the real deal. Our listeners get a free Element sample pack with any order. So with the sample pack, you can try out all the flavors. There's no obligation here. So you try the flavors, dial in your flavors, figure out which one you like best. All you have to do is head on over to drinklmnt.com/themove. drinklmnt.com/themove. Our next partner today is AG1, the daily foundational nutrition supplement that supports whole body health. And as I like to say, and I love it when they say it, it's about taking control of your health. I drink it literally every day. I gave it a try because I was tired of taking so many supplements, and I wanted a single solution that supports my entire body and covers nutritional bases every day. I wanted better gut health, a boost in energy, immune system support. I was sick of taking a whole bunch of pills and vitamins, and I wanted a supplement that actually tastes great. With every daily serving, I'm setting myself up for success with 75 high-quality ingredients. They give me key daily nutrients and support all these cool things like energy, focus, strength, and clarity. Also, George is also, look at him. You're so good, George. Every day you're hammering that thing.
Every day.
Yeah.
As soon as I get to the studio.
And you're spending less than $3 a day.
That's right.
If a comprehensive solution is what you need from your supplement routine, then try AG1 and get a free 1-year supply of vitamin D and 5 free AG1 travel packs with your first purchase. Head on over to drinkag1.com/themove. Again, that's drinkag1.com/themove. Check it out. Oh boy. Yeah.
Sad day.
I know. And it goes to show you how big a deal this is. I mean, Mads Pedersen won an incredible stage, and we are going to talk about that, but let's not be mistaken. The biggest story of probably the first week of the tour, or anything we've had up until now, is the loss of Mark Cavendish.
Yeah, and it's just such a random crash. He's just sitting at the back, staying out of the way, staying out of trouble, and just this happens all the time in the peloton where somebody breaks, and it's a accordion effect where everybody behind has to break harder and harder, and perhaps he might have been having a drink of water or just something super simple and lands on his collarbone and breaks his collarbone.
I wasn't with you guys when that moment happened. I was back at the house. What was your reaction, especially you, George? I know you're a fan of Cav, but George was teammates with him. You guys stay in touch. Probably a little more deeply affected, I'm guessing.
Yeah, I spoke with him yesterday a bit over text message. He was devastated from what happened yesterday. He had so much confidence, said he hasn't felt this good in his whole career. So he was just clearly on just incredible form. Last Tour de France, even if things are going great, the emotions that are going through your head throughout your last Tour de France are just on a super, super high level. I remember it in 2012. It was my last tour. And in a way, you're super happy that you never have to suffer that hard again. But in a way, you're going to miss a lot of the things about it. So to see him on the ground, I just can't imagine what was going through his head.
Leaving in an ambulance.
I mean, that's just worst case scenario.
And as he has said, this is the last year of his career. I am curious if he'll stick to that. I could see it both ways. I mean, one part of me says, golly gee, what did you just say? You haven't felt this good ever. Yeah. So that part says, okay, well, let's just do one more year. And the other part says Father Time keeps marching on, and it's hard. But think about, if there are two scenarios for Mark Cavendish in this Tour de France. One is, either he won yesterday and broke the record, or maybe we wait until Paris, he breaks the record in Paris. That's certainly the greatest story imaginable. And the other is to leave in an ambulance. I mean, they're so far apart, and it was awful to see. And you actually, and I say see because the cameras in the race, both the helicopter and the motos, typically catch a lot of the crowd. This one we couldn't really see. I mean, at the end we saw some of the coverage. They were trying to zoom in and see exactly what happened. Nobody can really see. He and the guys around him obviously know, but it was hard to tell. But the collarbone is something that's for guys and gals that have ridden for a long time. That's, if you haven't broken a collarbone, then you haven't ridden very much.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking next. It's his injury is something that's not going to be a long-term setback. It's not like he fractured his hip or a femur or something like that, where it would be.
But at
no doubt,
at this stage in his career, 37 years old, it's all about motivation. And it's all, he had major motivation for the Tour de France. Right. I mean, he went through the whole Giro d'Italia just for the Tour de France. So now mentally, I don't know how you bounce back from that.
Right. I mean, he could be back on a trainer within a week. He could be back on a road out training within probably 2 weeks. But, at this point in Mark Cavendish's career, he doesn't care about the Tour of Spain or anything else. So, you're looking at 51 weeks from now to line up again. And at that age, it's...
Well, even Johan, I think it was yesterday or the day before, reminded everyone, it's like he has the record. It's a tie. He has the record.
He wants more. He wants another one.
I don't know about that. I would have to disagree with Johan on that one.
I think we just need to give him some time. He needs to get home, be with his family, regroup, and just decide without pressure, without the outside world yelling at him to come back to the sport and race again, the Tour de France. Let him make his own decisions. And I'm personally going to give him time, give him space, because I just want him to recover, get home to his family, and be happy.
And we all watched the drama and the stress that he went through in the off season, trying to find a team that had an entry into the Tour. That seemed absolutely ridiculous that there wasn't better options for him. I mean, I'm not going to sit here and criticize Astana, but that's not a great team for him. But I know, George, you want to talk about Quick Step. This is the team that said no thanks.
Yeah,
how's their tour going?
Not too good.
Not too good. I mean, the way they're racing is almost like out of desperation. I mean, they're making the early breakaway, which they know is going to get caught. Then you see a guy like Casper Asgreen trying to bridge across. I mean, this is one of the best rouleurs in the sport. A guy won Tour of Flanders. So it's odd to see him going like that, and the tactics that Quick Step's having right now, but they don't have any other options. I mean, they just got to try to get into a lucky breakaway and hope that Jakobsen recovers from his bad wreck the other day.
Let me ask you a question, George. If Mark Cavendish, even on the stages up until now, the sprint stages, which of course there haven't been many, and you could even imagine for the stages later on in the Tour, if Mark Cavendish had a Matthew van der Poel, would he have already won a stage?
Yes.
I agree.
Yeah.
I totally agree with that. I think if you have that motorcycle as your teammate, which, Quick Step has some guys like that, I think that's exactly right.
This would be over.
This would be over. But this just goes back to these goofy ass teams in cycling. Like, what were you thinking this winter? I don't know. I don't get it. And we, of course, were...
Why they didn't pick him up, yeah.
Yes, and we were with him in September while it was at the heat of the moment and sort of maybe getting some inside baseball. I'm like... What? I'm not as mad as I was the other day, but now that we're talking about that, it makes me mad.
But at what point do we see the real desperation kick in? After week 1, like after this rest day, or after week 2? I mean, for some of these teams that have not had the season they expected.
It's on now. I mean, every stage of the Tour de France, the teams that haven't won are yelling at their guys that they got to be in the breakaway. They have to do something in this tour, and there's not that many opportunities with all these hard climbs coming up. In the sprint stages, these guys are unbeatable. I mean, what Mads Pedersen did today in that sprint, I feel like we should break it down, because if you watch the overhead shot, I mean, he's essentially in the wind for 400, 500 meters to go. He doesn't quite get in the Wout van Aert and Laporte train, and then Van der Poel goes, and he kind of goes at the same time Van der Poel goes, and he still beats Jasper Philipsen. So the sprint that Mads did, I mean, that uphill sprint was tailor-made for him. I mean, he essentially sprinted for over 400 meters,
right?
And it was incredible to watch.
And had a little bit of luck. I mean, Wout van Aert had a great lead out, and I believe it was Laporte who was leading him out. They just weren't synced up. So when Laporte's job was done, Wout van Aert just got stuck there, boxed out, and the guy started to come around him, but he essentially got boxed out by his own teammate. And then you saw him at the very end was coming like a freight train. But this sprint, and you can look at the profile, I don't know that the profile was 100% accurate, but a kilometer at 3%, that's hard. At the end of a hard rolling stage that, what do we say, average speed of 47 kilometers an hour. If you want to, I like to sort of compare these things to other sports, and I hated finishes like this. Like, I hated having to fight for position, and you're already on the limit, and then you have to stay there and not get gapped off. You cannot get gapped off like certain guys did today. There were guys that were gapped off. So I sort of equate it to, if you're a swimmer, it's for sort of like the 400 IM. I hate that thing. Like, it's to me the hardest event in swimming. Or if you're a runner, the 800. Right, around the track. I mean, it's just your full gas. You even saw Mads Pedersen in his interview, which was, I don't know, 10 or 15 minutes after the finish. He was still breathing hard.
Yeah.
I mean, he didn't do anything else when he got done. I mean, it was that hard.
Yeah, that was a crazy sprint to watch. A sprint like that, like you said, Lance, it's a different game. I mean, you could see how Philipsen has been so dominant on those flat sprints. Still had an amazing lead out from Van der Poel, but today was just that little slight incline in the power that Mads Pedersen has for that type of sprint brought him to the victory.
Probably sends a message to the sprinters. Okay, this Philipsen guy can be beat, because it looked like he was just
we have
dominate.
Groenewegen been up there as well. I mean, and for him, I mean, typically that type of sprint, I would guess, is not his forte. So he's going to start gaining a lot of confidence. I think the sprint stages, albeit we lost the biggest name. Right. In the sport today, unfortunately, they're still going to be exciting, and these guys are going to keep battling out for wins.
I think there's only 2.
2 or 3.
How's Wout van Aert feeling right now? He's got to be frustrated. Very. He's just been so close, but I don't think he's not the kind of rider that just gets defeated by these near misses. He probably gets more motivated.
Yeah, I mean, he's still on incredible form. I mean, arguably just as good as form as he was last year. It's just those little things aren't clicking that you need for a victory. Like today, he had perfect lead out, but unfortunately, he got squeezed in as soon as Laporte sat up. He got squeezed in, and you lose that momentum in a sprint. It's game over. You're not going to come back. And you saw how fast he came back for 3rd place. I mean, he was going probably 5K an hour faster than the guys in front of him. So had he not lost that momentum, he probably could have won today, my guess.
Totally.
And then the other significant thing that happened today was a couple GC contenders losing time. Both Yates and Landa crashed it together.
Yep. And if you follow the sport, you'll sort of know that there's this there is the 3 kilometer line where anything that happens inside the last 3 kilometers, whether it's a crash or mechanical, you are given the same time as the leaders. Although I don't know exactly how they do on a slight uphill finish like that. Typically, on the flatter finishes for sure, but nonetheless. I think it happened, I want to say, around 4.5 to 5K to go. So I remember back in our day, it was with 1K to go, and then I think they moved it out. But I remember we just get to that line and everybody's like, oh, thank God. I mean, because anything can, and if it happens at 3.5, you're screwed. And he had a teammate come back and he still lost 47 seconds. Which
no matter how many guys you can send back at that point, like that pace is going so fast. They had been going so hard all day, and it's just a question of minimizing your losses at that point.
Yeah. Any other outstanding things today? There were other. Yeah, there was obviously a few crashes.
No, I think that's it covering today, and we'll take care of this and look ahead at tomorrow.
Yeah, tomorrow. Before we do, today's show also brought to you by, and as I mentioned at the top of the show, our title sponsor for this tour, Ketone IQ, made by HVMN. We often hear that fasting and exercise are good for the brain. HVMN launched the world's first drinkable ketone in 2017. Ketone IQ is their latest innovation on ketones with improved effectiveness, taste, and cost. Ketone IQ delivers clean fuel that can cross the blood-brain barrier, supplying your brain and body sustained energy, mental focus, and sharpness, putting you in flow, lasting for hours. You can save 30% off your first subscription order of Ketone IQ at hvmn.com/themove. Again, visit hvmn.com/themove and subscribe upon checkout for 30% off. Also today, brought to you by Roka sunglasses that are a step above, right? Whether it's on the performance side, the style side. Look at me, I just love putting these on. It's sick, right? Went into town yesterday, met this guy for lunch. I was rocking these things. Had the silver hair with the silver aviators. Check me.
I like it. I like it. It's a dope look.
What's that?
It's a dope look.
Thank you, bro. Thank you. I didn't shower after the gym or anything. I just came. This man is in there showering and.
Yeah, that's because you beat me up in the gym every morning now. Gotta freshen up for the show.
Roka's invented a completely new class of eyewear, and not just for professional cyclists, but all sorts of amazing athletes and performers, other world champions, folks in the special forces. They're unbelievably lightweight. You'll literally forget you're wearing them. They do have the best optics on the market. No other glasses compare. Crystal clear, fog resistant, and scratch resistant. Here's the other thing. When you're out sweating, they never slip, no matter how sweaty you get. And also hand-built in our hometown, JB, of Austin, Texas. The Move listeners get 20% off. Just go to Roka, ROKA.com. 20% off. Use the code over there, The Move, for 20% off. That's a hell of a deal. Also, and last one of the day, Ventum, and I know we got some trivia here in a little bit. It's going to be a little controversial today on the trivia, unless you sorted that, JB. Cool.
I hope so. I hope we got it right.
But from Ventum, the all-new GS1 is now available in the minted colorway, built exclusively with SRAM's Apex AXS, all for just $2,999. I think there's some psychology in like people like study pricing.
Mm-hmm.
Like instead of
the dollar,
like most people go, okay, $3,000, but there's like some psychology in that. I love that. $2,999, which is an amazing deal, because by the way, it is the same carbon frame set that we all ride, whether it's primarily head of HR, George, myself. Do you ride a GS1?
I just got a GS1 a few months ago.
Even Coltland has a GS1.
Coltland rode up.
He rode up Maroon Bells yesterday.
Yeah.
Coltland, next time you go up there, you need to take a picture.
And he finally put some air in the tires too. I borrowed his bike the other day. Had like 10 pounds of pressure. I'm like, bro, you need a little air in here. Feel a lot better.
He's taken this new sort of tire rim air combo a little too seriously.
Yeah.
But we love them. Not just our GS1, which of course is our gravel bike, but our NS1s. It's just a rocket ship of a road bike. The brand is kicking ass. They have amazing customer support. They're producing great content as well. You can check them out on their socials. That's at Ventum Racing on Instagram and YouTube. Special offer for our listeners. You get 10% off when you use the code WEDO over at checkout, and that's at ventumracing.com/themove.
By the way, if my wife asks either of you about my GS1, Ventum gave it to me. Okay, just
so.
Yes, sir.
Johan's asking, what was the last time TDS finished on Puy de Dôme?
Johan was asking. I'm sorry. What was he asking?
When was the last time the tour where it finishes tomorrow?
Okay, so let's talk about tomorrow, because it is an interesting stage, and I've done a little studying on this, and I haven't revealed it to the team because I wanted them to be surprised at just how smart I seem. There's the map. Let's go to the profile. I mean, it's a hell of a day. What's the total? 182 kilometers up and down all day long. Got Cat 4, Cat 4, Cat 3, and then Puy de Dôme, which is to answer Johan's question. And I'm so curious to just see this stage. Of course, it is an old, and I don't know how old. I didn't study that hard. It's an old volcano. There's the final profile, and you get some gradual stuff in the 7%ers, and then it levels out a little bit. But boy, look at the last 5. 11.5, 11.4, 12.2, 11.5. That's a real climb. Categorized as a horse category, and the average is 13K at 7.7%. And we've never, I've never watched a stage on Puy de Dôme. Let me back up. We never did the Puy de Dôme. So that starts to timestamp it a little bit. The last time the Tour de France went up, this climb was in 1988, won by Johnny Welts, which of course is a guy we know very well. For you cycling history nerds, you'll also recall in 1975, Eddie Merckx, this was the stage that he was punched on. And this was his 6th. So in 1975, it was his 6th tour. He was going for the 6th win, which of course would have been the record, and was punched 150 meters from the top of the Puy de Dôme and ended up getting 2nd in that tour to Bernard Thévenet. But I can't wait to see it. I don't know. It's one of these things. I mean,
was it just a rogue fan punched him?
Yeah, jumped out.
A Frenchman who just couldn't stand the Belgian was dominating?
I did, read his name. It did, I don't know where, you would have to think maybe. It shows you how the sport has changed. 150 meters from the top, somebody was able to that's nothing. That's like right there.
Right.
Able to just jump out, punched him basically in the kidney.
Now that's barriers at least 1K.
Yeah, 3K on the climbs, I think.
Yeah.
But it hurt him enough that he couldn't. He did lose more time that day. I think he lost 30-something seconds to Thévenet, and then went on to not be able to win the Tour. And that was in 1975. So I'm curious to see like all of this history. I mean, that just right there alone is pretty fascinating history. You look at the profile and you're like, holy, that looks awesome.
Yeah, if we can go back to the profile, because I mean that's going to be, like you said, Lance, a super, super hard day. And going back to today's stage, and I was actually just chatting with Johan, like we're both kind of perplexed why Jumbo was pulling so hard.
I didn't understand that.
I mean, okay, you got to control the yellow jersey, but the guys are way they were clearly working for Wout. They were doing a full-on team lead out for Wout, but with all these stages left to come, it's like, hang on here. I thought the strategy was just all in for yellow, and then all of a sudden you're going to use your guys, which they're going to need those guys, especially on a day like tomorrow. For arguably Wout can surf the front on his own, or with Laporte. They didn't have to do all that work, in my opinion. They didn't have to go that hard. So it's kind of a strange strategy leading into tomorrow's stage, in my opinion.
Well, right. I mean, that's it. I mean, how hard do you need to go? If you only need to go as hard as it is required to nullify or neutralize the attacks. If nobody's attacking, I guess there was the break out there, but you just have to assume with that finish that they were. I mean, that breakaway, by the way, could have had, I don't know, 30 seconds at the bottom with a K to go, and they would have been caught.
Yeah.
So not really necessary to go that hard to catch them, and if nobody's attacking, just ease up. I mean, we've got some hard days.
There was clearly other teams with intentions to go for the sprint, so it's their responsibility to do that tempo. I just don't know why they would use their guys so much. I know that we would not have done that. We would have just kind of floated the front, saved energy. We didn't really care. Okay, we didn't have a Wout on our team. But, I mean, if the goal is the yellow, then we would be trying to save as much energy as possible on those stages.
So looking at that very steep finish and then looking at what Pogačar did on that last punchy climb and put in, I don't forget how many seconds. And let's say that same scenario happens again with this finish. How much could he put in on Vingegaard? Like he could do some real damage.
Well, look, if I'm getting PTSD from watching what I watched the other day. If you're and they did it again today. If you're Jumbo-Visma, I don't care that if you have the yellow jersey. This is not your responsibility tomorrow. This is UAE. It's their responsibility, and it's Pogačar's responsibility. Let them do the work. Sit on the wheels. If I see them riding hard tempo on the Puy de Dôme,
setting up.
I'm turning it off.
But there's no, I mean, like we said the other day, I mean, they're basically even rounds right now, 3-3. Vinigo dropped Pogačar on the Mare Blanc, and then Pogačar drops Vinigo on that other climb. I forget the name of it, but we can't quite tell who's better yet. They both had better days than the other. But I think tomorrow is going to be super interesting because it'll be a big test for both of them.
You keep doing this 3 rounds to 3 rounds thing. All right. So I'll stick with that.
21 round fight. Let's go.
No, well, I'll work with you there. So if let's say it is a boxing match and fighter A comes out and has a great first 3 rounds, and then fighter B comes out and rounds 4 through 6 just kicks his ass. How do you think they both feel going into round 7?
Well, are they not? I mean,
it's this thing called.
Was there a knockout?
Doesn't matter. I'm just telling you.
Have you not watched Rocky?
Fighter A.
Have you not watched Rocky get his ass kicked by the Russian? For how many rounds? And then he comes back. I mean, come on. This is how it works.
There's these things. There's these things called momentum and
Creed.
morale.
You see Creed?
I'm with you.
Shit.
I agree with Lance here. It seems like momentum is going Pogačar's way big time.
And this is the perfect opportunity for Vingegaard to say, I don't want to tell the kid how to race or tell his team how to race, but act like you're having a bad day. Suffer a little bit. Throw the responsibility to other people. They do not need to control this race tomorrow. What we saw the other day and the power and the acceleration from Pogačar, and we don't know what happened the day before. Maybe he just had a bad day. But I would throw it on them and say, you want to control the race, you want to dictate the race, go for it. We're just going to.
Johan thinks Jumbo's can control and ride.
Great. I mean, look, at the end of the day, I don't care. Our job is to sit here and talk about it and analyze it and provide it for folks. I think that's a mistake, and we'll see. And I trust Johan on that. And look at me, I'm getting mad just thinking about it. Whatever. I want to go riding. I need to go drop George today. I think that's a mistake.
You got a chance today.
I think they need to throw some responsibility.
You got a chance today? What
George
base that on?
Well, what George is not telling us, we had some sources. Dude,
Do you have any questions?
No,
JP?
hang on.
I want to hear where this goes.
I'm focused right now. Right? I'm living the clean life. I'm training hard, 2 a days. Golf game is on point. We got this cool thing sent to us, this mattress, the 8 sleep thing. So I spent it took me 2 hours to set this thing up last night. Watched a couple shows. Watched this hijack show with that dude on Apple TV. That was pretty cool. Got through 2 episodes of that.
What's that called?
I think it's called Hijack.
Oh, it's called Hijack. Okay.
Since you're so afraid, you have such trauma around flying. Don't watch this show. But then I get to the gym early this morning, and my sources tell me that George was out at the Caribou Club last night.
Having dinner.
Ooh. That's where the Flintstones would go, right? Never mind.
Yeah, I think.
How late were
I went to dinner with your friends.
How many cocktails?
Not.
I will tell you this, and I won't give away too much, but staying up late working just to see George come home is awesome. It's quite the show.
Yeah. Were you up when I got back yesterday?
Not last night, but the night before.
Yeah.
Very entertaining.
And I took an 1.5-hour nap yesterday.
Dang.
What? How much shit have you given me for the last 5 years about napping?
Well,
now you're Mr. Napper.
Yeah.
I'm going to add one more thing to tomorrow. Will we likely see Nielsen Palace go try to scoop up points?
Yeah, it's definitely. It looked like he sat up today, took it easy.
Yeah. I mean, I know we don't spend a lot of time on the polka dot jersey. Everyone who listens for a long time knows that this is not Lance's favorite, but an American taking the polka dot jersey, and he's a good climber, is a heck of a story for American cycling. Yes?
Yep.
Okay. All right. NS1 trivia.
Sure.
You could win a Ventum NS1, the road bike, complete bike. The question yesterday was, what is the longest stage ever recorded in the history of the Tour de France? Now, I've seen a couple of different answers online, but I'm going to go with the one that Ventum sent me here. The answer from yesterday was the longest stage in history was the 7th stage of the 1919 edition, spanning a distance of 482 kilometers. That's 299 miles.
I mean, that's, yeah, I don't know. What are you going to say? I mean, that's a long ways. And then think about it, right? I mean, I wouldn't want to ride that far today with my Ventum NS1 with my super maxed out fast wheels and electric shifting and
what were those bikes
and all the nutritional stuff we have now. 1919? Fuck, did they even have derailleurs?
Probably
no, I think
not.
They had one gear. I think they were like flip the gear, the
they
wheel
could
around.
they could flip it around when they got to the mountains, but I mean, yeah, no. and not to mention the clothing. I mean, what were you? Imagine the tanked after that stage, huh? Couldn't be good, you know.
Yeah.
Don't want to imagine that.
I don't blame you.
All right. Get ready to send in your answer for today's. And what they do is they take all the people who send in the right answer, randomly draw one, and at the end of the tour, that's how they'll pick the winner for the NS1. So today's question
This could be under protest. This particular question, though, we might have a protest.
If you know what we'll probably do, I'll talk to Ventum. If there are some varying answers on that, we'll include all those in the drawing. How's that? All right. Today's question: which cyclist won the Tour de France immediately after World War II ended?
Okay.
So that must have been 46.
Oh, that's a good one.
So do your research, get the answer, send it in to trivia@ventumracing.com. All right. Good luck.
Absolutely.
You guys want to answer a couple questions? Just do a couple real quick. Let's see. Lance George, with such tight space on a final sprint, is there a proper etiquette for how a rider moves out of the way when a rider has finished their lead out? Maybe for George, as this has a lot to do with sprinting and etiquette, you might have a good answer for me. But can a rider be penalized for getting in the way of another team after they peel off? That's from Anthony.
No, they can't be penalized. It's the guy behind's responsibility to kind of guess which way the guy's pulling off. But if you're doing a lead out, when I was doing a lead out, I would always kind of like, if I'm at the front, I'm looking underneath my tire to see which way the guy behind me is sort of leaning. Like his front wheel could be on my right side of my wheel, my left side. And then I would pull off on the opposite side, which would indicate, that wind is coming that way too, which while you're pulling off and he's coming around you, he's getting a bit more draft on the way by you as well.
There's a small disclaimer there, folks. Do not try that at home when you're out with your buddies.
Looking under.
When you're going for that, when you're leading out your buddy for the the Austin city limit sign, don't try that at home. just I don't know, figure out a hand signal. Don't look underneath.
We should do some mock lead outs.
Don't look through your seat to see. Okay, that's right up there with the super tuck and all this other. Don't try this at home.
Just don't listen to any of my tips, because yesterday, when we're doing the point down, I heard about all these crashes in the group rides the next day when I'm like pointing, I'm coming for the wheel.
Right.
Just ride the way you ride. Don't listen to me.
Another quick question. This is probably tough to answer, but I'm going to give it a shot here. David writes, what has been the most significant cycling technological advancement in the past 25 years?
Good question.
Well, it's if we're going off 25 years, that's I would have to think about that. But if you go back 40 years, you'd have to say Boone Lennon's invention of the aero bar. I mean, what we saw, and of course we saw it. Boone Lennon, for those who do a little bit of a history here. So Boone Lennon worked for Scott USA. He was a ski racer, and he saw how downhill skiers would get in this really aero tuck when they're going. I mean, these guys are going 70, 80 miles an hour straight downhill. And so he thought, well, why wouldn't we use that in cycling? So he invented the aero bar, which of course now we see every day. And of course, part two, Greg LeMond used to much success in 1989. That to me was the greatest innovation, and certainly the biggest news story, because it was used at such a time that not everybody had it, and it made such a difference, and it was splashed all over the world's screens. Boy, if we had to use 25 years, I'd have to think about that.
Disc brakes would be up there, I would think.
Disc brakes. Well, if we're using 40 years, then I'd have to go with the power meter. I mean, that revolutionized the way people train. Everybody.
Prior to that, it was all heart rate based, wasn't it?
Heart rate, yeah. So Obviously, that changed the game for training. But 25 years, that's a tough one. And there's a lot out there.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of these other, disc brakes, electric shifting, the advancement in carbon technology, aerodynamics on the frames.
Yeah, what was the last steel bike you rode? Do you remember?
On Motorola.
On Motorola, yeah.
Wow.
Early 90s.
Okay. All right. Well, cool. If you have a question for a future show, send it in, themove@wedo.team.
That was a good question.
Yep.
Yeah. I might ask Johan the same question.
Yeah, you should.
Yeah.
Well, that's not fair. He's going to have all this time to think about it.
I know. He loves that. He loves that.
He'll think of something else.
Yeah.
All right. Well, stage 9 tomorrow. Golly, think about that. Stage 9. I mean, you're here in a day or two. We have, of course, after tomorrow, we have our first rest day, but we're sort of getting to halfway here. But I don't wake up too excited many of these mornings to see some of these things. I mean, sometimes the races provide the excitement, but a lot of them are like, I cannot wait. Just because I've never seen a stage on Puy de Dôme, never done a stage on Puy de Dôme. I'm super curious. Like, why the hell don't we go there every 3 years? But
and if we see Jumbo dragging them along, everyone's going to think of you and what you're thinking about as you watch that.
Yeah. Well, then, yeah. Think about this, though, too. I haven't done this finish in 35 years. That's a long time. So we'll see what happens. And we will also see on the strategy and tactics side just how these guys handle it. Thanks for tuning in. See you tomorrow.